Hello everyone and welcome back to Becoming Dentist. Today we shall be learning about the permanent maxillary lateral incisors. Now as you can see here, we have the maxillary arch of teeth and this is the median line. So these two teeth right over here are the permanent maxillary lateral incisors. Now starting with the introduction, we have the nomenclatures or the numbering of each of these tooth according to the various notation systems. So for the permanent maxillary lateral incisors, according to the universal system, have the number 7 and the number 10. So as you know, this is the right side and this is the left side. So for the permanent maxillary lateral incisor, we have the number 7, and for the left permanent maxillary lateral incisor, we have the number 10. According to the FDI system, we have the number 1, 2 and the number 2, 2. So for the right side, we have 1, 2. For the left side, we have 2, 2. According to the Palmer notation system, we have the number 2 for the lateral incisors, maxillary lateral incisor, according to its respective quadrant brackets. So this is for the right side and this is for the left side. Now starting with the chronology, the first evidence of calcification for the lateral incisor will be at around 10 to 12 months. That is, it will start to calcify at around 10 to 12 months in the life. Then the formation of enamel is completed at 4 to 5 years. And the most important point, that is the eruption age of the permanent maxillary lateral incisor is around 8 to 9 years of age, and the root formation is completed at around 11 years. Now we have the various measurements. So starting off, we have the cervico-incisal length of the crown. This is the cervix, this is the incisal ridge. So this length, cervico-incisal length, is 9 millimeter. The length of the root, this length is 13 millimeters. Then we have the mesiodistal diameter of the crown. This diameter, it is 6.5 millimeter. Then similarly, the mesiodistal diameter at the cervix is 5 millimeters. Then we have the labiolingual diameter. This is the labiolingual diameter. It is 6 millimeters. Then the labiolingual diameter at the cervix is 5 millimeters. Then we have the length of the curvature of the cervical line. This is the imaginary line that we draw. This is the length of the curvature. For mesial side is 3 millimeters. And for the distal side, as you can see, this is quite less than the mesial side and it is 2 millimeters. Now the general features of the permanent maxillary lateral incisors. These are supplementary to the central incisor in its function, and the crowns will bear a very close resemblance. That is, the lateral incisor is very similar in appearance to the central incisor apart from some differences. So the lateral incisor is smaller in dimension except root length. As you can see, root length for both the incisors, let me show you. This is the central incisor. As you can see over here, the root length is 13 millimeter. And similarly, for the lateral incisors, we have the root length is 13 millimeter. So the root length for both of the teeth will be 13 millimeters. Otherwise, the lateral incisor will be smaller. Now the most important point that you must remember for the permanent maxillary lateral incisor is the presence of a palato-radicular groove on the lingual side. On the lingual side, you will see a palato-radicular groove which is not seen in the central incisor. It is seen only and only in the lateral incisor. Now the lateral incisor also varies in its form very frequently. So one of the most common deformities is the pegged shaped lateral, which is a pointed form of the lateral incisor. Now starting with the different aspects, first of all we have the labial aspect. Now we just saw that the lateral incisor will resemble the central incisor. So in the central incisor we had learned that the crown's outline is trapezoidal. So For the lateral also we have the crown outline that is trapezoidal, and the shorter of the two parallel sides is towards the cervix. Then the incisal surface, as you can see, this is not quite horizontal. It has a slight curvature. It is slightly rounded. See, it is not straight but slightly rounded. So as this is rounded, the angles, that is the mesioincisal and distoincisal angles, will also be rounded. In the central incisor, the mesioincisal angle was pointed, but in lateral it is rounded, and distoincisal is also rounded, but distoincisal is more rounded than the mesioincisal angle. The mesial contact area is at the junction of incisal and middle third. As you know, this is the division into third. Mesial contact area is over here at the junction of incisal and middle third. The distal contact area is at the middle third. The mesial and distal outlines are both convex. Cervical line is also convex, and the convexity is towards the root. Correct? Then we have a very important point for the root, that is, see, first of all, it is, as you know, it is conical, it is tapering, it has a pointed tip. The important part is it has a distal tilt. So as you can see, it is not straight. See, if it was straight, it would have been, the apex would have been over here. But the apex is over here, so it has a slight tilt, and this tilt is towards the distal side, so we will call it a distal tilt. For now we have the lingual aspect. Now in the lingual aspect, as you know, lingually the crown will converge, that is, it will show lingual tapering. So because of lingual tapering, crown is narrower lingually. Crown outline similarly is trapezoidal. Then we have the incisal ridge, or the edge or incisal surface is slightly rounded, not straight. We have the two angles, mesioincisal, distoincisal. Mesioincisal is less rounded, distoincisal is more rounded. We have similar mesial and distal contact areas. What is different here from the labial aspect is the presence of ridges. So here in the incisal area or the incisal surface, the ridge present is called as the incisal ridge, and then we have the two marginal ridges. On the mesial side we have the mesial marginal ridge, on the distal side we have the distal marginal ridge. Now as you know, we saw that we have the palatoradicular groove, which is seen on the distal side of the cingulum. As you know, in the anterior teeth we have a convexity in the cervical third called as the cingulum, and this groove, which is on the distal side, see, as you can see over here we have the tilt that is on the distal side. Here we have a groove on the distal side called as the palatoradicular groove, and we have the lingual fossa which is V-shaped. Now because of this presence of the palatoradicular groove, you will also feel that the cingulum is slightly shifted. Then we have the root which is conical, tapering, and shows a distal tilt. Now moving on, we have the mesial aspect of the tooth. From the mesial aspect, as you saw in the central incisor, it is similar in the lateral incisor. We have, the crown is triangular in shape with the base towards the cervix. The incisal edge is on the same line as the apex once again. Then we have the labial outline which is convex. As you know, the height of contour, that is the point of maximum convexity, is at the level of cingulum. The lingual outline is a bit more complicated. So here we have convexity in the cervical third, concavity in the middle third, and slight convexity in the incisal third. So this is convex, concave, and convex again, that is the lingual outline. Cervical line is convex, the convexity is towards the crown. Then we have the root which is similarly once again conical, smooth, which is it is convex, and it is tapering towards the apex. Now from the distal aspect, it is exactly the same as the mesial aspect, except here, which we saw in the measurements, that the curvature on the distal side is 1 millimeter less than the curvature of the mesial side. To appreciate this, we'll take a look over here. See, this is the mesial side, the curvature is quite deep. But over here on the distal side, the curvature is less deep. Moving forward, we have the incisal aspect. So As you know that this crown will also be wider mesiodistally than it is labiolingually. So this has it is wider mesiodistally than it is labiolingually. The labial outline, as you know, is convex as it was in the central incisor, and it is smooth due to lingual convergence. Here we have a narrower lingual outline like this. The incisal edge is horizontal and the root is not visible from the incisal aspect. Once again, you must remember that root will never be viewed from the incisal aspect. So that is it for today's video. If you did like the video, do hit the like button, share, subscribe, and keep on watching as we keep on learning. Thank you. Hello everyone and welcome back to Becoming Dentist.